Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. We're on a date here with the lovely Lily. Stolen all of our hearts, of course. How couldn't she, with her giant eyes and wonderful person and her big heart. How could she not steal all of our hearts? The dish served lives up to the salad name, and the proportions pleasantly large. Surprising in these kind of restaurants, because they're tiny. With like you get like a crazy plate with like a tiny proportion. You're just like, what the fuck? And you get a bunch of sauce slapped all over, like all artistically placed out, with sliced eggs and tomato. It looks very enticing indeed. Lily takes her knife in one hand and her fork in the other, quickly getting to work on the dish as I do. It's later than when we usually have dinner, so we're both eager to dig in. My cautious skewing of leaves and vaguely meat-like squares with my fork is matched by Lily's silent and measured prodding and chewing. An occasional tap around the sides of a piece of the food to work at its edges is the only giveaway to her lack of sight. I'm done with my meal in little time, Lily taking the last few bites as I sit observing her. I'm watching you eat, Lily. It's beautiful. Finished yourself? Yeah, it was pretty nice. Not much is very true. I never thought a simple salad could be so tasty and filling. But then again, I suppose that's why it costs so much to eat here. Content with my appraisal and evidently agreeing, Lily gives a small nod. You know, given that you're a part foreign, exotic looking, and quite pretty, I'm surprised that nobody's ever confessed to you before. Wait, what? Given that you're part foreign, exotic looking, and quite pretty, I'm surprised that nobody's ever confessed to you before. You're assuming nobody did? The simple statement takes me off guard. I shouldn't be surprised, given that I was complimenting her just moments before. Really? I've received several confessions, both in this school and my previous one. What does she mean by confessions? What, like confessions in a booth, like with priests? Or people saying that they have feelings for her, or like people wanted to like go out with her and stuff? Several confessions. Is that what they mean? That's a really weird way to put that. Who says it? Like, who says that? Adolescence is a funny time. She's kind of talking as if she's above it herself. Huh. How easily you say such a thing. She looks surprised for a moment before a playful smirk covers her face. Is that jealousy? What? No, it isn't. It is. Definitely. You're a bad liar, Hisao. You should take that into account. And again, I do appreciate how sincere you are, even if you don't intend to be, sometimes. I think your honesty will always serve you well when dealing with others. I clear my throat in mock disapproval of this whole business and try to steer the conversation elsewhere. I don't want to hear about other people who would try to seduce you, Lily. No. To tell the truth, though, I do prefer solitude to being surrounded by others. I don't think I could maintain a social circle like you do. She contemplates this for a moment. I don't think that's true either. I've seen how gentle and caring you are around Hanako, and you get on marvellously well with others, even those whom you hardly know. I think you're quite adept at social situations. But on that note, what of your confessions, Hisao? I'm sure someone like you must have had at least one admirer. Well, it was the one that made me have a heart attack. As I open my mouth to speak, I can feel my face turn slightly dour. At times like this, I secretly appreciate the fact that she can't see my expressions. Just, one. Her name was Iwanako. It was when she confessed to me that I had my heart attack, there in the woods during winter. Lily finds herself speechless, not expecting for the topic to move into such an area. My condition has always been something of a concern for her, something that I strive to minimize despite my body's best efforts to the contrary. Afterwards, she visited me for a while I was in the hospital, and for weeks she came in and talked. It was usually just small talk or classroom gossip, but that was enough. But eventually she stopped coming. She was there every day, then every other day, then once a week, then finally one day she stopped visiting entirely. Did you ever see her again? Wrapped in my own little world, I shake my head before remembering the futility of the gesture. Right, so basically, drop the subject is neutral ending, mention the letter, it's good ending, so mention the letter. The memory of that single letter Iwanako sent me comes back to my mind. I never saw her again, but after I was sent to Yamaku, she wrote me one letter. Lily's face shows an expression I know well. I piqued her interest. I'd be slightly offended that it's simply a matter of curiosity for her, but she's never been very good at masking her reactions. In hindsight, it really didn't say much. What was going on in my old class, how she was farting? How she was farting. Pretty wet, you know. Like that, you know. Not like a drag. Like a... You know. And almost as an afterthought that it was probably best for both of us that we don't see each other again. After reading it, I ended up reassessing a lot of things I thought I'd managed to work out. For the most part, the letter reminded me that the world around me was still moving, and just how much I'd become isolated from it. And I guess it also reminded me of what I'd lost. She gives the information some thought, with her face lights up in realization. No doubt she's worked out that it was this letter which had contributed to my angst during that lunch on the rooftop. It's a rare sight to see Lily quite so lost for words. Her entire persona is a little deflated from her earlier rapt interest. It's like, well done, Hisao. Bring down the whole roof. Bring down the whole place. Bring down everything. Including that Zeppelin up there. Ah! As charismatic as she is, in the end, that isn't any replacement for life nor relationship experience. Perhaps it's better that she sent it than not. How's that? It can be difficult to work out how best to communicate with those you haven't met in a long time. All the more so considering your separate situations. Instead of doing what was easier, she built up the courage to talk to you one last time. Not only for her sake, but how it sounds for yours as well. Maybe. I don't hate her for it. Not that I really ever did, but I don't know. Probably a more non-committal answer than I should give, but it isn't without cause. I've never looked at the situation from a Wanako's perspective like that before. Seconds pass in silence before Lily speaks again. Moving to Yamaku must have been hard for you, having your friends and even your girlfriend taken from you, for no fault of your own. The worst of it passed while I was in hospital. When all that surrounds you is four white walls and a small television, your mind takes on a life of its own. It's like my old school, I guess. I just try not to dwell on what's happened and keep thinking ahead. All that reminiscing does just get me down, and it's largely thanks to you that it feels like things are finally getting back on track. That's pleasing to hear, Hisao. She lowers her face slightly, her expression pensive. I guess I went too far and embarrassed it. No, it's because she's hiding something from you. I suppose you went through something a bit like what I did when you endured Yamaku anyway, right? I imagine the vast majority of our school students did, after all. You said yourself that you made friends in your old school. I can't imagine many followed you. Lily's deep smile drops, her expression unexpectedly darkening, even her hands retreating to her lap. After a long while, she speaks. Hisao, can you promise not to tell anyone else what I'm about to... I promise. She looks taken slightly aback by my serious tone, but then relents and smiles weakly before continuing. When I moved to Yamaku, I did regret losing the friends that I had at my other school. But there was a one person who I most regretted not seeing again. He was the reason I took up English as a future career. He? Considering she came from an all-girls school, that can't have been a schoolmate then. I rejected the confession I'd received until then for him. Every time I improved my English skills, his praise was my most treasured reward. It's funny, isn't it? Someone like me able to boast about the people who have set eyes on me, liking someone so utterly unattainable as my tutor. It truly is the most ridiculous thing. Did you... She quickly shakes her head from side to side. I couldn't. Even then, I knew it was impossible. A silence reigns over both of us. Reign over me. This does seem to explain her ardent focus on her future in teaching English, but I can't help thinking of her confession to me. Why do they keep... It's so weird they call it her confession. It sounds like a religious thing when they say that. She lost him without even letting her feelings be known. Did she somehow fear that would happen again? But with me? I don't really know what to make of it. I've heard of such relationships before. Taboos born of such things as puberty and youth. The fact that she had the good judgment not to act on it, though, it's heartening. I know this must sound strange, but please, don't think of me. Why would I think any less of you for that? To be honest, I think he must have been a very nice person if you liked him so much. Not only that, but you stopped yourself before going too far. For a moment she looks somewhat lost. Most unexpectedly, though. It isn't a second before she starts to laugh. The sound takes me off guard. It's not a giggle, nor a restrained chuckle, but honest and genuine laughter. I find myself smiling, and not just at her display of relief and happiness, but for her to trust me enough to let me see this most private of secrets. Back to the face touch. Before I realise it, I feel her palm touching my face. Her touch is as gentle as ever, with her thumb slowly stroking my cheek. You're kind, Hisao. I really do love you. Seeing her face like this, with her palm gently caressing my face. I think tonight has been a wonderful night. Yeah, went pretty well. I guess we've both had a pretty weird past there. I think by most standards, our present is rather odd as well. I smile and hang my head. This woman can easily run rings around me, of that I'm quite sure. I look back around the room with its continuing quiet hums of patrons. This place probably fits into an odd category too. It is a tad overbearing. That's one word for it, yeah. I catch the eye of a scurrying waiter, a short, scrawny guy, no older than 20. He kind of reminds me of Kenji. Is that Kenji? Though unlike him, the waiter isn't dressed for winter during midsummer. After a curt bow and an offer to remove our plates, Lily asks for the bill politely and softly. With expert coordination, he maneuvers around the tables, our plates in hand, to retrieve our bill. It's going to be expensive, isn't it? In no time, he reappears through the doors, smartly handing our bill to Lily, who promptly hands it to me, causing him to raise an eyebrow. As I read the small computer-printed leaflet, the cost is considerably more than I expected. Hisao? Oh, I quickly stammer at the amount, to which Lily merely nods and reaches for her purse. Giving her card to the waiter, he disappears once again. That was a disproportionately large amount of money. The statement seems to make Lily slightly uncomfortable. My family leaves me more than enough for my education. The same goes for my sister, though she dislikes being reminded of that fact. That said, I too dislike throwing money about. But this is one time I think I can make an exception. Just for you. Not only did you choose our date, but you paid for both of us as well. I feel 100% emasculated. I've expected to say that. My boner is inverted. No, you can. It's okay. Gender roles are changing, people. You don't have to do that. If the lady is fine with with having set gender roles, that's cool. That's cool. I take the bridge of my nose in my fingers. I can't believe how high you have set the bar for our next date. You raised the bar. David Cameron, he went underneath and he raised the bar from Randy Newman's grasps. She gives a small giggle. I'll be looking forward to it, Hisao. The waiter reappears beside us, as if by magic, and hands Lily's card back to her. Evidently picking up on her lack of sight, he places the card in her hand with an extra, perhaps unneeded amount of firmness to make sure of her grip. Leaving, he exercises a measure of diplomacy by keeping a neutral face, despite my own expression. Clapping my hands together, I stand up from my seat in order to bring an end to our night out. Shall we be off then, milady? Milady. That was a nice little bitsy bob. Oh, I need to get a new chair. This chair is I need one with a higher back. I don't know. Yeah. I snap Woods out of my sheets and sit bolt upright in my bed, as if an electric shock had just run through my entire body. The night air feels cold against the sweat on my bare skin, my breathing short and rugged, nearly to the point of hyperventilation. Mind racing, I bring my hand to my head in an attempt to soothe my body's panicked state. It takes me a number of seconds to realize my hand is shaking violently, even as I press it against my face. More seconds pass in complete silence, my desperate attempts to subdue my body and mind slowly, thankfully, working. Gathering myself, I start taking measure of the state I'm in. It feels like I've run a marathon, every muscle feeling tensed and sweat practically pouring off me. I carefully direct my attention to the beating in my chest, measuring out the rhythm in my head. Sure enough, my unreliable heart is functioning properly, for once. Just, the hell was that? A heart attack? A bad nightmare? Medicine side effects? I've heard about panic attacks, and this does seem to have the hallmarks of one. I can't even be bothered thinking about it right now. I feel utterly exhausted, but completely awake after this experience. I look over to the other side of my bed. The pale white of the silent figure's face almost glowing in the nighttime darkness of the room. Just the sight of her is enough to calm me down significantly. Oh my. Her graceful demeanour persists even while she's asleep. Hey, I've seen that clip before. I'm sure that's... doesn't make... Yeah, doesn't make any sense. I mean... The wall is there. Her graceful demeanour persists even while she's asleep. Her perfectly measured breathing, gentle face making it impossible to tell whether she's awake or truly sleeping. Giving in to temptation, I delicately run my fingertips over her hand. This is without a doubt the most relationship so far in this whole game. Her skin is soft to touch, as it always has been, yet warm even in the cold night. I see why people like this path. It's at times like this, silently appreciating each other's presence, that I feel we're closest. My fingers stop at her wrist, and I bring my hand back down to the bed beside me. I'm not entirely sure why, but as we became ever closer to each other, it felt as if something grew between us. I'm not entirely sure what it is, nor whether it existed before we'd fallen in love. Everything is moving so fast. I don't mind it at all, but it feels unlike Lily to be pushing things this much. Thankfully, there aren't any students milling around in the hallways at this hour of the morning, lest I be interrogated on why I'm carrying 2 plates of breakfast to my room, while dressed in an obviously hastily donned uniform. That isn't to say things like this never happen, of course. A single security guard patrolling between 2 sets of bedrooms situated right next to each other is a very small force compared to adolescent hormones. Come to think of it, the fact that it's Monday morning probably helps. I'm not really sure why, but Monday seems to bother me less than they do most of us. They seem to bother me less. It takes a little creative use of my hands and elbow, but eventually I manage to work the door to my dormitory room open. Stepping inside, I see Lily just getting up from the bed and tiredly rubbing her eyes. She looks a mess, just like the most times I've seen her soon after she wakes. She really isn't a morning person. God, Lily, you're a mess. Clean up. Jesus. I mean, whoops. Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. She groggily shakes her head. The morning light illuminating her makes for a very pleasant sight. It's okay. I need to get up anyway. What time is it? I put my plate onto my desk and turn the clock around to check the time. Still early, don't worry. There's plenty of time left before school. She sits on the side of the bed and begins to sniff the air. As she does so, I quickly move the plate away and put it on the desk beside me. Mine. Yeah, I got us some breakfast. Shower and clothes come first, though. Sexy shower times? Oh, just like BAM! She stands still for a moment, with her chin pointed slightly out. I gladly acquiesce and press my lips to hers, savouring the soft feeling before breaking off. Man, there's a lot of repeated, images in this, isn't there? With a small, sweet smile, apparently quite satisfied, she slowly makes her way to the showers. I stretch to try and wake myself up a little more, briefly looking at the steaming dishes on the deck. Wait, what if, Kenji walked in and he's like, what the fuck? Rish Vice miso soup. Rish Vice? Rish Vice? I'd love some Rish Vice. Rice, fish, miso soup, and some vegetables. A standard breakfast for a somewhat unusual day. I grab the bottles from my desk and start taking my daily regimen of pills. Sometimes I wonder what these things are even good for, given all the troubles I've had since the initial accident. I can't even say that it doesn't hurt to take them, considering the side effects so far. Well, whatever. Doctor's orders are that I have to take them, and rationality suggests that I'd be well served to trust his judgment over mine. Take 2 or die. It doesn't take long for the noise of the shower to cease. A quick one, apparently, being fine for Lily given the circumstances. Emerging from the bathroom, she looks significantly more awake, having had the chance to collect herself. Without a word, I gently take her hand in mine and guide her to my desk. Considering I don't have a table in my room as she does, I'll have to do. Thank you, Hisao. What did you prepare for breakfast? What did I prepare? Prepare? Well, I prepared a nice trip to the canteen. A la creme frige. I got a nice a nice cordon glaze, a nice lamb steak with a nice glaze over top, and we're just gonna top it up with some cream fraiche. Yeah. Oh yeah, cream fraiche. Fuck yeah. Just rice and some vegetables, something fast. Her face lights up at the revelation. That's quite a breakfast. Is this normal for you? Now she's just being nice. I have little doubt, considering her past, that this isn't exactly a high-class meal by her standards. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Just because we're students doesn't mean we can't take it lightly. We can take it lightly. That's my belief, anyway. From what others I've talked to have said, I might be in the minority. I take a seat on the bed and begin eating together with Lily. Blech. Her chopsticks lightly tapping on the outlines of the vegetables, just as I'd noticed her doing during our dates. This is quite nice, Hisao. I had no idea you could cook this well. This time she seems much more genuine. I can tell that much. That said, cooking really isn't anything special at all. After a bit of practice, it's pretty easy to make a simple dish. Most of the credit goes to modern technology. Still, after years of cooking for myself, I should hope so. I got bored of eating instant noodles and ordering pizza every time my parents were both working, so I taught myself how to make a few meals. I'm still trying to get the knack of it, though. You'll make a good wife someday, Hisao. I take a grain of rice and place it onto my thumb before carefully taking aim and giving it a good flick. Lily jumps a little as it hits her on the cheek right on target. I can't help chuckling a little at her expense as she lowers her brow and tries her best to assume a harsh and serious expression. Oh, that's right. What is it? Did you have any problems sleeping last night? You seemed restless. So she was awake back then, or at least partly so. Whether it was my heart or a nightmare caused by the side effects of my medicine, the last thing I want is for her to be worrying about me even more. Even before my relationship with Lily, I felt my body was a drag on everything I did. My body is a burden, is my burden alone, so as long as I'm with her, I'll continue to act as normal as possible. No, not particularly. Is that so? That's good then. Luckily, she seems to take me at my word. Come to think of it, there was something else I wanted to ask. Oh? How should I put it? When you dream, do you see people and objects? Yeah, of course Oh. I feel more than a little sheepish for that slip of the tongue. However earnest it may be, it looks unperturbed, unword, though. Unline! But you don't taste, feel, nor smell things? I move to answer, but find myself stuck before thinking about it. The more I mull it over, the more I realise that her hypothesis is correct. That's true, I guess. I never looked at it that way. You saying that you do? For the most part, I only hear in dreams. But yeah, sometimes I touch and smell things as well. I'm just asking since Akira thought it was very strange that I did when I brought it up with her. If you don't either, then maybe it's due to my blindness. I've heard things when I dream. Man, I remember when I was a kid once and I had like a dream, or whatever it was, that I was in this weird factory. And it was really weird, like, I'd wake up and I could swear to God I could still hear the factory noises. I tried to force myself to do it a few times and it worked. It was really bizarre. I may not be still asleep, to be honest with you. It was really weird, like, I thought it was in a factory and I could hear the noise of the factory all around me. And I'd wake up and I could still hear the noise of the factory around me. It's very, weird. Maybe I think I was asleep the whole time, to be honest with you. That would make sense. I mean, you rely on your other senses more than me, so maybe that affects your dreams as well. The wonders of the human body, I guess. For the rest of the time before school, we quietly eat the hearty breakfast in front of us, exchanging a few pieces of small talk as we do. A quick peek out the door assures nobody's looking directly at the entrance for the boys' dormitories, so we walk out with the path clear. You could just walk out and assume that she came to find you. Ah, the weather's good today. I stretch as Lily and I make our way outside, the bright morning sun beaming down on us. By now, a few students can be seen doing the same, making their way to the main school building, either from the dorms or through the main gate. It does feel nice and warm. Our hands linked and her cane tapping the ground, we begin in earnest our trip to the school building, enjoying the chattering throngs of students around us. This would be the last day of exams, no? Yeah. How are you going in them? Fairly well, all things considered. You seem a bit stressed by them, though. Is that obvious, huh? I don't think it's just exams, though. A lot of stuff's been happening in a short amount of time. I'm not doing that well on the humanities subjects. You're doing well in science, though, aren't you? Well, it would be hard not to do well in science for me. Come to think of it, didn't you say before that you weren't very good at science and math? She suddenly looks very sheepish, my remark no doubt hitting home. Lily's sense of pride really can be a double-edged sword. Well, aside from that, have you ever given thought to what you might do with that ability? It seems a pity to waste it. A bit, mostly at Muto's prompting. In any case, I'll probably end up doing science as a career in some form. That's good to hear, Hisao. As we enter the garden, you've got to provide for Lily, of course. As we enter the garden, even though she doesn't need you because she's got the money. As we enter the gardens, I suddenly receive an unsolicited pat on the back, Kenji. The green-dressed culprit dances around to meet me, evidently not paying any heed to Lily at my side. Hey man, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, just been busy lately with exams and Lily and stuff. Exams and schmans. A true Renaissance man needs no study to excel in such things. Kenji does strike me as the kind of person that does well in school, even if he has a horrid attendance record and poor work ethic, so I have little reason to doubt his ability. To be honest, I'm a little envious of him. Between studying for exams and my time with Lily, I've had practically no time to myself. Maybe this is a bit like how Yuko feels. Ugh, don't compare yourself to Yuko. Good morning, Seto. It's good to hear you're doing well. It feels slightly odd to see Lily speaking so formally. She's going to address me more casually over the months, though I have seen her speak more formally to classmates from time to time as well. Some people never change, I guess. Not that I'd say her calm and polite manner is a bad thing. It was one of the reasons I liked being around her to begin with, after all. Kenji seems to take a moment to work out who is beside me, and probably hasn't noticed us holding hands either. I wonder if those glasses of his actually do anything. I wonder if they actually do anything. Oh, hey Lily, good luck on your exams too. I'll see you after school then, man. The slight edge to his voice makes me think those words are meant to be an imperative rather than a casual farewell. I guess I'll have to smooth things over later. Sure, see ya. I'll catch you later, okay? Kenji nods curtly. He moves to pass us by, but he's too busy glaring in Lily's general direction to take notice of her cane. Before I can try to react to save the situation, Kenji trips and reflexively reaches out for a handhold. Unfortunately, said handhold turns out to be Lily's arm. Whoa! Ah! Both fall to the ground in a sprawling heap, with me left feeling rather helpless. Oh damn, are you two okay? Kenji quickly rises back up, seemingly unfazed by the accident. No problem, man, no problem. There's nothing my body can't take, much worse abuse. Lily lies face down on the grass. She doesn't look hurt by the incident, more startled than anything. I move closer to offer her my help. You alright, Lily? Hey, Seto? Kenji offers her a hand tentatively, touching hers to let her know what he's doing. He says some odious things sometimes, but I do think he may be a genuinely good person at heart. I imagine he feels pretty bad about this. To his surprise and mine, though, Lily pounds on the ground with her fist without warning. Damn it! Oh, Jesus. Kenji freezes, entirely caught by surprise by her outburst. I'm just as shocked. She never acted like this before. Not even around Shizune. Ugh. Seemingly now only remembering that there are people around her, Lily slowly climbs to her feet. She's got some serious pride going on. Her face as she does so makes me retreat a little. I only catch a glimpse of her expression before she turns away, but it's not something I'll forget soon. She showed plenty of annoyance during her classes with Shizune, but this flash of anger was something else. He's like, oh god, what have I gone into? There's no way that this is just about this petty incident. She pauses for a moment before sighing and walking on ahead. I really don't know what to make of this. I'll talk to you later, dude. See ya. Yeah, see ya. Kenji scratches the back of his head, trying to find something to say, then shrugs and walks away, giving us a wide berth. I quickly catch up to Lily. She turns her head a little to acknowledge my presence, but nothing else. I should probably scold her for lashing out like that, but I also don't want to get into a shouting match with her. She's still very obviously annoyed. In the end, I keep my mouth shut and wait for her to cool off. After a quiet walk in, we eventually reach the top of the 3rd floor stairs and the junction where we part every day. I turn to Lily before she leaves. While I do like the comfortable and warm silences we usually share, this was anything but. I don't want to leave things like this. You seem quieter than usual recently. Is anything wrong? She shakes her head almost automatically, as if to dispel any notion that I need to worry about her. It's just the exams taking their toll. I'll be fine. I don't think that's the reason. I very nearly say so, but decide against it. There's no point trying to draw it out of her if she doesn't want to tell me, especially when she's in a foul mood like this. If you're sure, I'll see you later then. And now her true colours come out. Turns out she's totally nuts. As I turn down the hallway to my classroom, Lily's soft voice rings out from behind me. Hisao, Yeah? I'm sorry. With that, Lily makes off down the hallway to her own classroom, her hands skating along the metal railings. I stand still and watch her until she's hiding something big from him, into the classroom and out of sight, before going to my own class with a fair measure of reluctance. As usual, I'm early. Oh, that's it. We'll leave it there. That's good. That's good by me. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Katawa Shoujo. I've been Millbee. This has been Katawa Shoujo, obviously. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I did. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.